Welcome to the Second Success Podcast by Dr. Rakish Rana, the Clear Coach. Getting clear on the mindset for repeatable success.
Hello and welcome to episode 3 of the Second Success Podcast with me, Dr. Rakish Rana, the Clear Coach. Before I start, a correction. On last week's episode, I left you all with a speech from a movie. I mentioned that it was from 1975. That was incorrect. It was from 1976, from a movie called Network. I'll try to be a bit more careful going forwards. Today I'll be joined by my friend and TV and film actress, Eloise Lovell Anderson. Before we get to hear from Eloise, I want to talk about age and success. There are so many people I speak to who are in their 20s, 30s, 40s and beyond who are still struggling to find their direction in life, their passion, their need for living. There are those that have been working for years and don't seem to be as successful as they would like. The one thing common among them all is some sort of rush to accomplish. I always tell them the story of Ray Kroc, who only came up with McDonald's at the age of 52. Up until that point he'd been a travelling salesman, trying his hand at a variety of things to be successful. I tell my clients to enjoy the process, to enjoy the journey that they're on, and the point when the goal comes, their success comes, that's when they can celebrate it with all the intense purpose that it needs to. Too often in this world of immediacy, people are expecting success straight away. People have forgotten that success takes hard work and takes time. And for that reason, I must mention something from this week. Joe Biden is President-elect of the United States of America at the age of 78. Wow, what an achievement. Instead of using Ray Kroc going forward, I may have to use the story of Joe Biden to show that age is just a number and that life's real success comes from enjoying it. So today's guest I met a few years ago and we've been friends since. I've really admired her journey in TV and film, and today we can hear from her firsthand. Eloise started modelling from a young age, but got put on the map of modelling after shooting for British Vogue after her move to New York. Other modelling career highlights have included covers for Italian and Brazilian Vogue, Self-Service magazine, editorials for V magazine, French Playboy, and the Daily Telegraph, including campaigns for Just Cavalli, Gossard, All Saints and John Richmond. She's had success as a catwalk model too, working for Christopher Kane, John Richmond, Jeremy Scott amongst others. Eloise then turned her hand to acting and had her break being cast in The Royals on E! And played alongside her twin sister as Ramona in the Fox TV series The Bastard Executioner. She can currently be seen playing Ricky in Villain, starring alongside Craig Fairbrass on Netflix USA, Amazon and Sky. So let's hear Eloise talk about her second success. Welcome, Eloise, to the show.
Thank you. Great to be here.
Yeah, I mean, it's great to have you on the Second Success podcast. And I've mentioned this before. People I'm having on are people who have inspired me in some way. I find it inspiration, but also have had success in an area of their life and now possibly working on their second success. And something that I want you to talk about is really how you initially got into your successful modelling career.
Yeah, so it was something that, funnily enough, I didn't really, to start off with, I always wanted to act and I was really grateful. So I was involved in a dance drama group and we always performed on stages, performed in the West End. So performance was always something that ran really strong in me from a young age. But then I think by the time I was there, I was 5'9", this height already. And so a lot of people were like, they should. Yeah, I've got a twin sister and I think we got a lot of attention, like people saying, we should get into modelling and stuff like that. So it's something I kind of fell into, for want of a better word. It's just like I got scouted by an agency in London and that's how it all started, you know.
So what did you enjoy about it?
I loved it. It was fun to, I didn't really know anything about that world and I like the creative side of it. I loved at the time all the fashion and just the whole industry. It's funny thinking back to it now because I'm so in the acting world now that it's kind of cool to think back to it. But I like the pace of it. There was always a lot happening. You had to, castings all the time, and it was just fun because it was all new, and I'd never been to London that much before. So it was all of it. I think I loved. Yeah.
So what's the mindset that you need to be successful in that field?
You just have to be absolutely relentless. I think I've always had a strong drive, and it's something that I've applied to everything I do. So I don't really do things half-heartedly. And I remember actually a booker once saying to me, Eloise, you want things too much sometimes, you need to chill out. And I just thought, that's never going to happen. And it never has. So balance is a good thing to have.
Okay.
But I think you've got to back yourself. I mean, you've got to listen to your own voice. At the end of the day, if you really want to do something, there's always going to be people sort of with other different opinions, perhaps, or their own experiences. But you've just got to, if you really feel like it's in you to do it, you have to back yourself no matter what. And that's a principle I apply to everything I do.
In a way, going back to it, so the fact that you fell into it and you didn't, let's say, it wasn't a case of really not for this to sound bad in any way whatsoever, that it wasn't that you worked hard to get into, but rather fell into it. Where did the drive come from to be relentless, though? Where does that come from? Is that from an earlier age?
Yeah, that came from an early age. I think it's the fact that I'd always been in sports. So I was really good at athletics and dancing, and even with, I'd used to do whatever festival was going on, put myself in it. So I did, speech and drama. So we had these festivals where you stand up and you recite a poem, or, even biblical text. I remember reciting huge chunks of text when I was probably about 7, 8 years old. I went to a great school. I was lucky. I had great teachers. I think they just instilled at an early age some great mindset principles. I've had to build on them, but certainly the seeds were sown early on because I loved competing, and I think it comes from winning in athletics and stuff. I loved that feeling. So it's something that I never lost, and I always. So when I was in modelling, it was a bit of a strange one because modelling it's obviously a bit different because it's not something that's sometimes that tangible, it's kind of based on, it's quite subjective. If someone likes your look, then you happen to get the job. But within that, there are things you can work on. So even with that, I remember my agency at the time saying, oh, you're not ready to go to New York, and I really wanted to go because I thought I could do all the big editorials. And they were like, no, take some time. But I decided myself to just go out there anyway. I think I knocked on about several agents' doors and they all said no. And then I still wasn't deterred. I went back again within a month, and then Ford took me on, and then I was shooting British Vogue, and then the rest in that sense was history. So I had that thing, like I think I always had that thing where I was like, I had to feel like I was doing everything I could do to be successful.
The resilience that you've shown, and one thing I've seen, and a common theme is some of the people I've been interviewing, is they all did sports. They were very competitive from a very young age, and that has definitely played an important part in building up that resilience, that mentality to excel at what they do, and it's definitely something you've exhibited as well.
Yeah, I love it. I always think in another life I'd be an Olympic athlete or in the CrossFit Games or something.
Well, there's always a chance. So, I mean, that brings us to where you then entered into the next phase of your life and what we're considering the second success, and that's in acting, TV and film. Before we go on to some of the details, I guess, in what you've done, and something that I mentioned as I introduced you, was the mindset switch that was needed to get into filming and acting?
It's funny you say that. I took quite a break, so it wasn't an obvious. I dropped modelling because I just wanted a bit of time to explore other things in my life. I was still doing really well in it, so it was a bit of a controversial decision at the time. But I just felt like I'd always had a dream to act. Always. It's just something I couldn't explain. It's just always been there. I think the mindset was just to go for it. It was more, it wasn't really a mindset. It was more a feeling because it just hurt not to do it. I remember going to the cinema once and I sat there and I actually felt pain. And then I was like, okay, I need to do this because it hurt. It actually was uncomfortable to sit there and just. It sounds really silly because I don't do that now. I really enjoy going to the cinema and watching other things. But at that time, because I wasn't putting any energy into it, it was hurting me. So that's when I knew I had to do whatever I could to make it happen.
So again, your resilience coming in.
I would say it's resilient. Yeah, it is. It is. And just the will. I always think if you've got will to do something, that's 50% of the way. If you've got the will, you definitely should act on it.
And no pun intended there, I guess.
Literally.
And we hear the stories, castings, getting knockbacks. How do you counter that? How do you counter for every one success, the numerous setbacks that you must have to face? That must go beyond resilience.
It does. I think, again, taking it back to sports. So I started learning to fight. I have a background in martial arts, and that really, it's such a metaphor for life that no matter how many knocks you take, you get back up. So it doesn't matter. And you can apply that to anything. It doesn't matter. And it teaches you to be really resourceful. I always see everything as feedback, and I kind of like it. I used to not enjoy it when I started acting. If I got knocked back or things just didn't go how I wanted it to go, or I didn't get cast in something, I just saw it as feedback. So instead of getting down, I always see it as, what can I do better? So what does that how can I grow now to be 10 times better the next time? And that's what it's teaching me. I still do it as well. I still, every day, you just got to go at it.
Is that something that you've had to learn, or something that you've developed, or do you think you had that from the offset?
No, I think I've had to learn that to the degree that I have it. I definitely think that's something, I guess it was trained in, but it wasn't in an obvious way. I was used to things going my way. So when it doesn't, that's definitely something I've had to learn how to pick myself back up, for sure.
For me, it's amazing to hear, because you're in the art space. I speak to people in business. The analogies and the similarities and the themes that we have are exactly the same. It's about overcoming adversity, dealing with the knockbacks, the challenges, growing that resilience. It's the mindset for success. It is about accepting that failure is not the final thing, and it's learning from failure and moving forward. Tell me, out of your highlights, you've done TV, you've done movies, and most recently you had a release over the summer months, Villain, with Craig Faberos. Tell me, what's been your favourite moment?
I was on a TV series called The Bastard Executioner, and I remember that was a great group of people. We got on so well. I think we were filming that for quite a few months, so we bonded really well. And I remember one day we'd be shooting this really long scene, and it was dragging on a bit. And then it was in the summer, and it was an amazing summer's night, and then the moon, it was a special kind of moon. I can't remember. Don't quote me on this one. I want to say like the harvest moon or something, but it probably isn't. So I had like this crazy effect to it, and I was just there doing what I love, and we all looked up and we were like, yeah, this is really magical.
I guess with that one, you also had the opportunity to act with your sister as well. What was that experience like?
Yeah, that's super cool. I mean, it's great to act with your best friend. It's so nice to have that dynamic as well, because we're very individual, even though we're twins. Like, we're good at just getting on with our own stuff, but it's so fun. Like, I remember we were having sort of like mini little raves in our trailer, because we have the same taste in music. I mean, Sophie DJs as well, and so she's got, for me, great taste in music. So she was kind of like, we had one night, I think it was after that night, we had a few drinks with all the actors and stuff and the crew, and yeah, we were just like having a little party in our room, and it's just so much fun.
That's the other thing, I guess. It's you're working hard, but remembering to enjoy yourselves as well at the same time.
100%. It's really important to celebrate the wins as well, and remember to have a good time. Balance is something I have struggled with in my life, because I can go at things quite intensely, and it's good to sometimes remember to just enjoy life.
So that brings us to now. So what are your plans for the future then? What's happening next?
So I have an action film that I'm going to be working on, just waiting for the dates to solidify for that, because obviously in this time things have been things can change around a lot. And then I actually decided I've had this idea for a while, but I've started to write. In this time, I think lockdown was so frustrating for so many of us. I had this idea to write a screenplay, but I shelved it for 4 years. And then I just decided to do it. And now that's a process. I'm not, obviously it'd be great to make something of that, but right now I'm just loving the process of writing and doing that. So that's something I definitely want to develop. And then auditions, the industry's kicking off again, so auditions are coming in. So yeah, just grafting hard.
I was going to say the old adage that there's a book in us all, and I guess if not a book, definitely a script.
And I've also got I was meant to say there's a film, Screwjob. I'll share that with you when that's in post-production at the moment, and I played a wrestler.
That's my kind of movie, action. So something I'll be looking forward to.
But it's great because it's not just action for action's sake. That one is I loved it because it's so character driven, and it's quite gritty. It's a working class story. Yeah, it was a lot of fun to do, and it had a lot of depth to it. So I'm really excited about that one.
I'm very much looking forward to it. So one thing I love asking my guests on the podcast, Eloise, is what is it that you want to be remembered for?
Wow. What a question. I would definitely like to inspire people to live their dream, that it's possible no matter what, and I love, for me, like, it's something that I love to embody is this kind of warrior archetype. Funny enough, my name, I discovered, means that in certain languages. I believe German is one of them. So Eloise means famous warrior, without sounding completely cheesy. I like everyone to find the warrior within, because I know I've certainly needed to at times in my life, and it's super empowering. So I would definitely like to inspire people to do that.
I say to you, I bring people on here who've inspired me, and you've definitely done that. And I'm hoping just listening to you, people will listen back and be inspired by this as well, just through your journey, and understand what it takes to be a success, the adversity, the resilience, having that competitive edge, and most importantly, enjoying it while you're doing it as well.
Yeah, and I think it's so important for anyone in this time, particularly, because I know it seems to be, it is a time of challenge. We're all having to dig deep, but I do believe these times can honestly make you. That if you just hold that vision strong and you just do the small things you can do every day to buy into that future reality more than perhaps what the environment is firing and wiring, because it's so tempting to go with that and feel like things are a bit all over the place and at a loss. But I think it's also an opportunity to think, well, what if it's not? What if this is teaching me, and how can I grow and therefore come out better than ever? Because you never know. I think sometimes we just expect things to go a certain way, but if they don't, it doesn't mean that it can't be better than that, how it's meant to go. We just have to have an open mind.
I totally agree. I think people generally let a lot of external factors have a huge impact on them and allow them to control their emotions, when really the focus needs to be on what we can control. When we really focus on it, there's a lot of things we can control. And I think if we focus on those and really work on those, we can really achieve a lot. Eloise, I really want to thank you for coming on and talking about your journey. I, for one, have found it fascinating.
It's my absolute pleasure. Thank you. It's always a pleasure to talk to you.
Thanks, Eloise. Bye. That was actress Eloise Lovell Anderson. Always a pleasure to chat. And if you haven't already, catch her in her latest release, Villain, a very enjoyable, gritty UK crime thriller. Resilience, drive and enjoyment were the key attributes that have hugely contributed to Eloise's success to date. Enjoyment, having fun, so important, I think. When I work with my coaching clients, one of the things we focus on is to enjoy the process and to remember to celebrate the wins. I've heard plenty of people say that fun is for kids and that they don't have time for fun. Well, here are the science-backed reasons why we should all have fun. Number 1, fun is great for our mental health. With the global pandemic still giving us all cause for concern right now, mental health has impacted so many with increased stress levels across the board. So start figuring out ways to bring fun into your day, whether that's through games, exercise or socially distanced play. It's been shown that people who laugh more tend to have less negative emotion. Number 2, fun is great for energy. We all know how stress can literally drain us. Stress plays havoc with our hormones, which in turn leads to all sorts of physical ailments, compounding our stress. So it's important to have fun to keep these hormones in check. By having fun and consistent recreational exercise, we can reduce our stress levels and be invigorated with a boost of vitality. And number 3, fun makes us smarter. Studies have shown that we can improve our memory and concentration by having fun. And one long-term study in the UK has shown that reading for fun improves our language skills and how well we can do in maths as well. Fun activities that introduce us to new ideas and concepts help and promote self-directed learning. The rewards we can then gain from these may well be greater than the obvious benefits. So, having fun, celebrating your wins is just one attribute that can be key to your success. And fun is something that I've started to include in all I do. Whereas before I might have thought that fun is something that we should leave till later, once a task is accomplished, the more I speak with successful people, the more I realise they include fun in all they do. So that's what I'll try and do from now on. It aptly reminds me of a lovely quote by George Bernard Shaw. We don't stop playing because we grow old. We grow old because we stop playing. This has been episode 3 of the Second Success podcast with guest Eloise Lovell Anderson. Please be sure to follow and subscribe so as not to miss chats with my upcoming guests, as well as my own insights into being successful in life. And with that, I want to leave you with this little speech from a film called The Guardian.
When the heck did we get old?
Hell, I've always been old, Ben. You know what, though? I don't mind. I mean, if my muscles ache, it's because I've used them. It's hard for me to walk up them steps now. It's because I walked up them every night to lay next to a man who loved me. I got a few wrinkles here and there, but I've laid under thousands of skies on sunny days. Yeah. I look and feel this way. Well, 'cause I drank and I smoked, I lived and I loved, and danced, sang, sweat, and screwed my way through a pretty damn good life. Yes, me. Getting old ain't bad, man. Getting old, that's earned.
I'm Dr. Rakish Rana, the Clear Coach. Thank you for listening.